Today we will make a GUI application in Python. GUI stands for Graphical User Interface. So we will be making a GUI application using Tkinter. Now what is Tkinter? Tkinter is the Python interface to TCL/TK. Now what is TCL/TK? TCL/TK is the GUI toolkit used for developing GUI applications. If you want to study more about it, if you want to go into more detail, you can go to this page. This is the official documentation of Python, and you can study all about it. Now, without going into further theoretical details, let's start our program. I have increased the font size of my window, hoping it will be easier for you to read it in the video. If you want to increase the font size, you can go here in the options, configure ideally, and here you have a list of options. You can increase the size here, you can make it bold, you can change the font, and you can do whatever you want here. Now let's start. Before writing the code, let's divide our tutorial into different parts which we will be covering in this video. So first of all, we will import Tkinter, and then we will make our main window, right? And then we will add a photo in it. So we will cover basics of Tkinter. We will add a photo in our window using label, and then we will learn about text entry box. We will learn about text entry box, and then we will make a button. We will learn how to do it, and then we will write a function which we will use on the back end of this button. So when we press this button, some function should be called. So we will make that function for our button, and then we will also learn about a text box and what is the difference between a text box and a text entry box, right? So this is what we will cover in our today's video. So let's start. So to import Tkinter, what you do is you write from Tkinter import, and then you press static. So this means from here, from Tkinter, import everything. So everything will be imported. Now let's create our main window. So to create our main window, we will create an object, let's call it window, of the class Tk. T is capital and K is small. So here we have created an object or an instance of the class Tk. Let's run this code and see what happens. So when we run this program, this is what we get. This code line has resulted in this output. This is our window. Let's give this window a name, right? So for that, we can write window dot title, and you can give it any title. Since the application we are creating right now is a dictionary, let's call it my dictionary, right? Okay, now this window is your variable. You can name it whatever you want. It's not some keyword, right? So for the sake of your understanding that you can name it whatever you want, let's make it W. Let's name it W. So you can name it whatever you want. All right, now let's again run the code and see what are the changes, what happened now. Now this is your window now, and you can see the title is visible here, my dictionary, which we just named it. Now there is one more thing that we have to do at the end, and that is run your window in a main loop, right? And for that we'll write w dot main loop for our window. So this line of code runs your window in a main loop. Now although your window appeared right after this line, and it seems that you don't need this line for your window to run, but you need this code because this main loop listens for different events that happens, for example a button click, right? So we need it. All right, let's add more things to our application. Now we can change the width and height of our window using the line w dot geometry, and you can give it the width and height. So you will give the width first. Let's say we can keep it 1000, and the height is maybe 500, right? This is, you can set it like this. Let's run it again, and now you can see this is the size of your window. So it has increased. You can change it and keep whatever you like. You can also change the color. So let's say the command for changing the background color is w.configure, and in configure we will give it, for example, background equals to black. You can change the color if you want. And now you can see my app has turned black. So the background of my app is now black. Now we can also change the position where the window appears for the first time. So you will, for that, you will assume this point, this top left corner of your screen as the starting point. So consider this point as 0, 0. And from here, you will write how many pixels do you want it to move in the x-axis, in the x direction, and how many pixels do you want it to move in the y direction, right? And that you will write here. So for example, plus, and I want it to move maybe 200 pixels on x-axis and 200 pixels on y-axis. So this is what I will write. And I'm gonna change the size to, I'm gonna make it smaller. Let's make it 400. Right, now let's run it. So you can see now the starting point, the position of my window is 200 pixels from the x-axis and 200 pixels on the y-axis, right? So you can change it wherever you want your window to appear. So we have learned the color, the position, and the size of our window. We have learned how to set that. Before moving further and adding more widgets to our application, we need to understand something. So consider this as your as the window of your application, right? So whenever we add some widget to our application, we add it to an imaginary grid, right? So think of an imaginary grid here on your application. So if this is what we are talking about, this is the row 0. This is the column 0. This will be column 1 and 2 and so on, and row 0, row 1, row 2, and so on. We can add as many rows as we want, and we can add as many columns as we want. So whenever we add something, for example, we want to add some button, we will specify where on this grid will we add it. For example, if we want to add a button here, we will specify row 2, column 0. If you want to add some text box here in the application, we will specify this is the row 1 and column 1. So this is what we will specify. So think of this imaginary grid on your application, and that's how we will specify the position of our widget on the application. And there is one more thing. For example, this is the point. This is the cell where you want to add a text box, and the position of the cell is row 0 and row 1 and column 1. So this is the position. So here we will tell the alignment of our text box. So we will tell whether we want to add it at the center, to the left, or to the right, right? We can add it anywhere, either in the center or aligned towards the left or right. So for the left alignment, we use the word west, W. For the right alignment, we use the word east, that means E, right? We use the letter E. For the left alignment, we use the letter W. For the right alignment, we use the letter E. For the center alignment, we use the letters W plus E. That means we want our widget to be aligned in the center of the cell. So this is the whole grid, and this is one cell in the grid. Now let's complete our code. First of all, we will load our image file. For that, we will use photo image, and we will specify the path of our file, and it is, the name of my file is this. Image file is this. Next, we will add a label. Let's say label 1. So we will add a label from the class label with capital L, and then we will specify where we want that label to be placed. We want it to be placed in our window, and the name of our window is W, right? So we will write W, comma, and then we will tell the image to put in the label is photo, this variable here, right here, and then we will tell that we want the background of this cell to be BG is equals to black. You can change the color of background to whatever you like. I prefer the color black. Next, we will specify the position of our label on the grid. So for that, we will write label, the name of our variable, dot grid, and then we will specify the row number. So let's put it in the row 0 and column 0. Comma, we have to tell the orientation or the alignment. For that, we use the property sticky equals to, let's align it to the center. So W plus E, and here we have closed it, right? Let's see the output. How does it look like? So this is our output. Right now, there is just one row and one column in our application. I should increase the size too. Now let's add a text entry box. Before the text entry box, we need to put another label in it. Let's call it label 2 equals to label W, comma. Now let's specify the text. So this label is, we are using this label for text, not image. And let's say, please enter the word for which you want the definition. Right, and then again, let's put the background as black and the foreground as white, and let's say the font as the default font, size 12, and property as bold. So this is how you do it, right? And then let's see how it comes on the screen. Right, I didn't add it on the grid, right? So if you want to add it on the grid, it won't appear. So for that, I first have to add it. So label 2.grid, and then row, let's put it below the image. So for that, we can use row 1, and then column 0, and let's align it towards the west. That means towards the left of the grid, right? Let's see how it comes on the screen. So this is how you get it. Please enter the word for which you want the definition, right? Now let's add that text entry box for the word. So user will enter their word here. So text entry box equals to, now the class for this is entry, and then we will specify the window, then we will specify the width of our entry box. Let's maybe call it 60, and the background. So for this, let's keep the background as white. And then again, we have to add it to the grid. For that, text entry box, the variable that we just used, dot grid. Again the same thing, row equals to, let's put it below this label, so row should be 2, and let's keep the same column, so column is 0. So we are having just one column but multiple rows. For this particular application you can customize it your way if you want. Sticky equals to, again align to the left. Save it and let's see the outputs on the screen again. So here you got the text entry box and you can type anything you want in it. Right, this is what you can do. Now first let's add the button. We will add the function later. So let's call it button submit. Let's give it this name. Equals to, the class for a button is button with a capital B, the name of our window, the text that should appear on the button. So let's say submit, and then the width of our button. Let's, I don't know, let's keep it 51 maybe. There is one more property here. Let's skip it for now and we will add it in a moment. Now let's add the button or bind the button to our grid. So button submit dot grid, and do the same. Row equals to, so row should be 4 now. 4 or 3? It should be 3, but okay, it should be 3. Let's keep it 3 for now. And then column equals to 0. Again align to the left. So this is the button. And I don't quite like it. There should be a space here. It's not looking good. We should add a space here. And we can simply do that by moving it to the 4th row. So we'll have another row in between. Let's add a label here, empty label. I'm just doing it so that there is some space between the text entry box and the button. No other reason. Also, the background of this should be black so that it matches with the rest of the application. So yeah, now our problem is solved. So we have added an empty label here to push our button down below so that it looks a little bit better. Now let's write that function for our button. So let's say def click, we can call it click. And this function will get the text from this entry box. So when we will press the button, it will get the text from this text entry box, right? So I'm gonna write then this name here, dot get, and it will get the text from the text entry box. And how will we specify that whenever we press this button, this function should be called? For that, in the button property, we will write here command equals to, and then the name of your function. Command equals to click. Now let's add a text box on the screen. Let's name our text box as output equals to. So for the class for text box is text with a capital T. We will specify our window, which is W, comma width of our text box. Let's specify it as 45 maybe. And then height as 3. We want to wrap the word. in it, and we're going to add the background as white. Okay, now output dot grid row equals to this will be now fifth row, but again it will be cluttered, so let's add it to a sixth row. And column equals to 0. The column span equals to 2, and the alignment as left. Right, again let's add an empty text box to keep things clean, and we will call it, okay, I have done one mistake. So this is label 1, label 2. This should be label 3. I named it wrong. Label 3. This should be label 4. And the row should be 5th row. Above row 6 and below row 4. Let's see the output now. So here, now the size of our window is less. We should increase the size. This is our text box here, and we should increase the size of our window. So we have added all the widgets in our application, but since our application is a dictionary application, it is still not working. Let's add some piece of code in it. First of all, let's make a dictionary. So I'm going to call it my dictionary equals to, and I'm going to add some keys and values in it. So first of all, let's add program. This is the key, and for the value, I'm going to write the definition of program, the simplest definition, set of instructions. Let's add another key value pair. Right, that will do for now. So we have 2 words in our dictionary. Now let's change the code of our the function of our button. So in this line, we are getting the text from the text box. Let's make sure that our text box is clear. So for that, we can use output. Output is the name of our text box. Remember this here. The name of our text box is output. So that we are using here, output dot delete. So if there is anything here in the text box before, we should delete it. We should clear it first. So this line will clear the output text box, and then I should write in the comment here. And then let's put a try catch here. So definition equals to my dictionary. This is the entered text. This is the text that we have taken from the text entry box. So I'm searching for this key in my dictionary, and whatever the value is, the answer is, that will be put in the variable definition. I will try that, and in accept I will put definition. So if this try fails, this acceptable run. So it will say the definition then will be, sorry, this word is not present in the dictionary. And at the end, outside the try and accept block, this is outside the block, it's not indented, we will write whatever the definition is, the output dot insert is how you insert something in the text box, and comma definition. Right, so if that definition is found in our dictionary, this one, it will be put in this variable definition. If it is not there, then this statement will be put in the definition, and that will be inserted in the output text box. Now let's run this program and see what happens. All right, so let's search for bug, submit. All right, let's see what went wrong. Yeah, so this is the mistake. I have used round brackets here. We have to use square brackets. We are dealing with the dictionary. My bad. I had to write square brackets here, right? No, not round brackets. So this was the mistake. Now run it again and enter bug. So you can see piece of code that causes a program to fail, and enter program. So submit set of instructions, right? You're getting that. And if I write something which is not present in the dictionary, it will say, sorry, this word is not present in the dictionary. So this is the final look of my application. You should add more words in this dictionary and you are good to go. So this is how you make a simple application using Tkinter interface of Python.